It says this, something like this. Judith, I don't want to talk to you about those things. Union, but those are our most important things. Judith, I'm sorry, we won't be talking about those things. What else? Union, how about these things? Collins, I can't believe the union doesn't want to talk about the most important things.
Yeah.
Is that a pretty fair representation?
The only slight thing is that the meeting was with Erica Stanford and not with Collins.
Oh, okay.
But the general gist is there. Like the minister the minister's office emailed and said, we don't want any agenda items that are involved in active bargaining. I'm like, well, okay, here's some agenda items then. And apparently that was the worst thing you could have ever done.
Can we please put to bed, or at least explain to us, the big talking point? And, in New Zealand politics, you don't seem to get these talking points like you see in American politics. This really feels like one. Palestine on the agenda. Yeah. Can you just nutshell that out for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So at our annual conference last year, there was a paper passed called Peace is Union Business. And part of that paper, now it's policy, that's how we create policy, is that basically if there's a crime against humanity as defined by the UN, we will, do certain things. So raise it with a minister, those kind of sort of trigger points, for lack of a better word in this context. And with the declaration of genocide, that was reached, that sort of crime against humanity. So we wanted to raise it, but with a particular focus on education. So there's been 630,000 Palestinian children without formal education for a couple of years now. Every single school and university in the Gaza Strip has been damaged some way, most of them destroyed. And we wanted to raise that. Teachers care about education. I know it's a shock for some people to hear this, but teachers care about that. And we care about when students, young people aren't having that formal education. And you can't have formal education in a war zone. You can't have education. And to sort of, expand it so people don't go, oh, you're only talking about Gaza. I've met some of the Ukrainian union officials, and I've spoken to them. I've been very grateful to meet them and speak to them. And, they tell you stories like, oh, we've built 200 underground schools, so we can carry on education, and so you can't have education in a war zone. And so there's also something called the Safer Schools Declaration, and we've been a member of that or supporter of that since 2016. That basically says schools should be, safe in a war zone. They should be safe places, and so that's where that was, and that was the reason.
I love that. Peace is union's business. That's a T-shirt. I'd buy that one. I don't know if you've got them printed.
It's really simple. Like, look, even one of the Melissa Ansel Bridges from the CTU, she said you can't have good terms and conditions in a conflict zone. Like so all the things that we want as unionists, you can't have in a conflict zone. So peace is absolutely union business.
Just the last thing on this Palestine question. Everything you've said is clear as a nut. 100% understand why educators and teachers would be on board. Talking to any minister about it, to what end? What do you hope to get out of those conversations about specifically Palestine? And it could be Ukraine, could be other places, with a minister as a representative of the teachers.
Yep. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's started to raise awareness, make sure they understand this is a concern of us. But there's lots of things. And again, the minister could have made certain decisions like we, donate to the UN to help build schools. The ministry could provide resources. There's a lot of things that we could do to support that process as a nation. And, with the so-called ceasefire now, that will have to be rebuilt. Gaza will have to be rebuilt. Schools will have to be rebuilt. So, there's an opportunity there for New Zealand to make a donation to the UN to be able to rebuild that process. And as I say, it's not, and while this particular case was Palestine and Gaza in particular, as I've been very lucky too to also meet the head of the Palestinian Teachers Union a 2 or 3 times.
Wow.
And pretty special. I met him in Australia, and I met him at our World Congress in Argentina last year, and it was pretty special to spend some time with him and talk to him about it.
Hard question, but how is he doing? Do you know if he's?
I'm friends with him on social media now, and he's in the West Bank in particular, so he's not as in that. So it's for the whole of Palestine, but he's particularly in the West Bank. But he was telling us stories about basically having to bury colleagues and supporting teachers through the conflict, and then teachers doing what teachers do, supporting their students and trying to do the absolute best they can in these situations. So. it was a really, as I've been so grateful to meet him and listen to him and talk to him, and it's just we're friends on Facebook now, so I still see what he's up to, and look, we're not unusual. Heaps of other unions, we're very, to be frank, we're very inactive in that space, but in relative to other unions, particularly some other overseas education unions, the AEUs, Australian Education Union's really active. The UK union's really active. The French union's really active. There's a number of very active unions supporting the Palestinian teachers.
And I mean, Facebook friends is basically real friends. Best kind of.
Well, that's what I think. Just because I've met him, like it feels slightly,
Yeah.